I'm Ashleigh.
And I'm Brooke.
And you're here with us on A Teachers Who Talk Crime
podcast. It's episode 100.
It really is. And I wish I had more energy for y'all. I really do.
Oh my gosh.
I wish I had more for you. But I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But we're here.
We're here.
He's here.
Episode 100.
Episode 100. And it's a two-parter, you know. Came in hot today. So, you know, we happy to be here. 100.
But it's a very, very much requested case.
Yes, very requested. Everybody probably knows the case. I'll go into why I specifically chose it other than that it was requested. But as from the title, you could already see what's going on here. So everything's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So episode 100. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's insane.
Looks like we made it.
Look how far we've come, my baby.
I know that's right. Praise him.
Yeah.
Yes. I would like to thank Brooke for just being really accommodating with me being tired and exhausted 99.9% of the time. I would also like to thank Brooke for taking over editing for a short bit of time before we got Jon. Shout out to Jon. But Brooke held it down with editing because I just did not have the capacity to edit any longer. And I would just like to give a shout out to Brooke because without Brooke, this would not be possible. So shout out to Brooke on episode 100 because that's what we at.
Shout out to Ashleigh because although Ashleigh is tired, we won't go into it, but life has really kicked me down lately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, she really punched me in the gut, you know, here recently.
Mm-hmm.
And had fog brain and everything else. And Ashleigh has really I just cannot. She's like, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? I'm like, okay, thank you. Cause I would have forgotten.
And it's not even to be like, hey, like it's just genuinely.
No, it's just
make sure, you know.
I have very limited capacity right now in my brain space, just from like everything that is at the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So the fact that she even sitting here, shout out to Brooke again. Like, let's do it, man. Do it up. Give it up for Brooke because I wanted to be in my bed right now. Sure did. Sure did. But Brooke was.
But it's episode 100.
Yeah, it sure is. And before we get into like more things, I do need to give a special shout out to my very good friend Ruby because she got engaged this past weekend, child. She sure did. Aww. She sure did. Yay. She's a fiance. She said, I am on to see my husband. I'm happy
to see.
So shout out to Ruby.
I met her.
You sure did. at my birthday party.
Yeah.
So shout out to Ruby because she's a fiance now. She sure is.
I love that. I love that.
Congrats to you and your boo
girl. Such a fun time.
Yes. I just know this bachelorette is about to be lit. Sure is.
Nashville 2.0.
Child, that trip was crazy. I almost forgot like some of the things that occurred on that trip. I was like, oh snap, that did happen. Crazy. Yeah. And that was a time.
It happened.
That was a time. Sure was.
It happened.
It sure did.
It happened. I would go back and do it again. I had a great time.
I think the party bus was my favorite. I think that was that was a good time. That was a good time.
I liked the Cowboys.
Oh, they were fun too. They was you know. But the party bus was really lit because we were just all around Nashville, just dancing,
just vibing,
you know.
Yeah,
playing super
Where's she wanting to go?
Music, and it was kids and people was also twerking in the streets. So it was
Yeah.
They was vibing with us. So I
It was great.
appreciated them for that.
They were.
I like that they did that with us. So, shout out to
Yeah.
y'all.
Well, where does Ruby think she'll go?
We don't even know, honestly. But if it was up
Oh,
to Ruby, it would be somewhere exotic, somewhere with water.
Okay.
Somewhere with water, aquatic things, So
I like that.
I don't know where, but sign me up because I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there.
Good.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah. I don't have any other weddings. Yeah, none of my friends have been getting engaged.
Yeah, you're not gonna
A
see
lot of
one
them
for
are
me.
pregnant.
Okay.
A lot of them are pregnant.
Okay, won't be seeing that.
But you don't get to go on a bachelor. Yeah, you don't get to go on a bachelorette trip for being pregnant.
Nah, they go on a baby moon, and that's where you're not invited. It's just
Yeah,
them
I'm not
and
invited.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, but congrats to Ruby. I'll
Yeah.
just live vicariously through you and all the things.
Yes.
So I say that, but like planning that wedding was stressful. Like I don't know that like I would really want to go back and do the planning part again.
See, that's the perks of getting married in Vegas.
Yeah.
I would recommend. Here's the thing. I would do it again if I was to ever get married again. I would 100% do a destination wedding again.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, look, if y'all want to come, this is where we're gonna be. If y'all not gonna come, click this link so you can watch us get married. Like that's it.
Yeah. Sloan did a destination wedding and we watched her.
Oh, that's
through a link.
cute. That's cute.
Yeah.
So it was cute.
like
And my
it.
wedding was literally like, I want to say it was like 15, 20 minutes long. So it was like, pew, pew. Like it was in and out. Like,
Did you have like a short dress or a long dress?
it was long and it was a crop top dress.
Ooh.
Yes. But she's now in a bin somewhere in Delaware, probably at a Goodwill, because she was taking up space in my house. And I ain't really need her no more, I ain't really need the memories. So
No.
So somebody else got her now, or she's just been burned. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want that bad juju dress. I wouldn't want it. So I tried to sell it, and I feel like people were like, "Well, why are you selling this dress?" Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, she did what she was supposed to do. She was a little cute thing. I liked her. She wasn't like super crappy, but she was definitely a two-piecer. Yeah. Yeah, she was cute.
That's very you. That's very you. I have both of my dresses still, but like I just got married. So
100%. You should probably like frame them or something. That's what I was gonna do with mine. I wanted to frame it.
Yeah. Those like shadow box things that people do. Yeah.
I just wanted to see her in all her glory because she a baddie. She knows she a 10. Okay. Child, if I can find a
Maybe
picture.
she found another home.
If I can find a picture, I'll have John throw it in here. But I don't even know if I got any pictures no more. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if I got
Facebook.
I know they are gone from the memories. They are all gone.
Oh.
So when the memories come up, it's not like, oh, this is the day, So but somebody got a picture. I think it's funny because the only really good picture we have with me, my mom, my dad, and my sister is at my wedding. So it's hung up in their house.
Oh my gosh.
So every time I go, I'm like, this is such a nice picture.
Oh.
Can we maybe get someone to change?
Photoshop?
Yes, someone to change the dress or something. But I'm gonna see if I can get my mom to send me a picture so John can throw it up in here so y'all can see. Because she was a baddie, she knows she is 10.
So if you're watching on YouTube, I'm sure we'll have a picture.
Yeah.
Hey. And if you're not watching on YouTube, why not?
Then go to YouTube so you can see it.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, let's. What we haven't done in a while, and we're on episode 100. We should really throw out our socials.
Oh snap! We haven't done that in a hot buttery biscuit second.
We really haven't.
I really can't tell you the last time we said that. Okay.
But if you're new here, welcome to episode 100. We are Teachers Talk Crime. I'm Brooke.
I'm Ashleigh.
Yep. And you can find us on YouTube under Teachers Talk Crime. Yep. You can find us on Instagram at Teachers Talk Crime. Yep. And then we have our personal TikToks that we like to promote on. And mine is southern.math.teacher.
And mine is Branny. That's Brant with 3 Y's and an underscore.
And don't you forget the
Don't ever do that
underscore.
because you're gonna find someone that's not me, baby. It's not me.
Yup.
Mm-mm.
Yup. And if you're an OJ, you know, we just took you all the way back because that was a every week thing.
Yeah. Just so y'all can know who we are. We got Instagrams too. I don't really do much on my teacher Instagram. But it's also Branny with 3 Ys. I don't think there's an underscore. There might be an underscore. You can look. You'll see if it's me or not. You know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. But she's there.
Yeah.
I post
And
occasionally.
mine is KB Dozier.
Ain't there a dot in there? There's no dots in there?
No.
I don't think there was a dot in there.
Yeah. But the name that'll pop up is Brooke Ham because that's my new married name.
It sure is.
Yeah.
She not Dozier, she a ham.
Yeah. I'm a ham. Yep. Doja Cat had to get on out.
I'm crying. Oh man. Oh yeah, and if you want to send us a review, you can either do it on Apple Podcasts, if you listen in there.
Yeah.
If you listen on Spotify, after every episode, they put up a poll of like what you thought of the episode, so you could leave a review in there as well. But if neither of those things tickle your fancy, you can send us an email at teacherstalkcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Just make sure the subject line says review.
Yes. And speaking of that, we're going to get into our
Estudiantes today.
And this one actually comes from our email. So we do see them. Yeah, we do see them. And our star student this week is Charity Kearns.
Okay, Charity Kearns, Charity.
Yeah. And I'm sorry if I misspelled or mispronounced your last name. I did my best. So Charity, I'm just going to call you Charity. And her review says, "Hi, my favorite crime ladies.
Hey.
My name is Charity, and I'm a 3rd grade math teacher in Mississippi. I have been listening to you since you came out. I recently switched from my husband's Spotify account to my Apple podcast just so I can give you a 5-star review. Teachers Talk Crime definitely deserves all the stars. I haven't figured out how to actually give 5 stars, but as soon as I do, you will definitely be getting them. I listen to your podcast 30 minutes to work and 30 minutes back home. They are the perfect length of time. I love hearing about all your daily school struggles because I can totally relate. I can't wait to keep listening for years to come. Thank you, ladies."
Years to come.
I know.
We might run out of cases by then.
Or energy. Whichever one comes first.
Whichever one. I mean, we're here for a good time and hopefully a long time. You know. But Charity, thanks, girl. We appreciate you. So I thank you so much for your review. This goes out for you. Thing. Yeah. Yes.
Well, buckle up. Yep. Because it is episode 100. So you already know. Sit down. Shut up. The murder is about to begin.
Ahora. For episode 100, I just had to do a case that was very heavily requested for us to do. It's been covered many times in the true crime world, but there have been recent updates, so I figured that this was the right time to give it a go. As you can see by the title, today for episode 100, we will be doing the murder of Jon Benét Ramsey.
Gasp.
Oh my gosh, you didn't look at the title before you started watching. Wow. And like we said earlier, it is a 2-parter. It is. So this episode is going to focus on the timeline of the case. And then part 2 will focus on the theories about who's responsible and the recent updates. Because I didn't want to throw it all into one because I figured that would be a lot to digest. So I didn't want to do that to y'all. Trigger warnings for this episode are murder of a child and mentions of sexual assault. We'll begin today's lesson on December 25th, 1996 in Boulder, Colorado. It was Christmas Day and the Christmas spirit was being spread around the Ramsey home. Jon and Patricia, aka Patsy Ramsey, watched as their children, 9-year-old Brooke and 6-year-old Jon Benét, unwrapped their presents. Jon Benét got a bike. According to her father, she wasn't the greatest at riding her bike, but nonetheless, they went outside and he guided her as she pedaled. Jon recalls her wanting to keep riding her bicycle and pleading with him to just go one more time. However, the family had a Christmas party to attend, so he told her that they could do it again later. Unfortunately, Jon had no idea that later would never come. The Ramseys headed home from their friend Fleet White's Christmas party around 9:30 p.m. Jon Benét had fallen asleep in the car, so once they arrived home, Jon carried her upstairs to her room and laid her on her bed. Patsy came up after and tucked her in. At around 5:30 a.m. the next morning, Jon and Patsy woke up because they were catching a private flight to their second home in Michigan with Jon Benét and Brooke to meet Jon's children from his first marriage for a second Christmas. Patsy goes downstairs to make her morning coffee. On the way to the kitchen, she stumbles upon a 2.5-page handwritten ransom note on the back stairs that led to the kitchen. The note read as following. It's going to be a very long note, y'all, so bear with me. I couldn't find a recording of somebody reading it, so I'm just going to do it for you. Okay?
There you go. That's fine.
Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want to see her in 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure you bring an adequate size attached to the bank. That was spelled wrong, so I don't know what they meant by that. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an early delivery of the money and hence an earlier delivery pickup of your daughter. Any deviation from my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions, and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, Jon. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, Jon. Use that good Southern common sense of yours. It is up to you now, Jon. Victory. SBTC.
So those are very specific amounts.
Yes.
And very specific instructions.
Mhm. Like, why would you want all
Also,
that?
the use of his name. They said his name a lot.
Jon. Like, you address it to Jon. You ain't got to keep saying Jon. You can say you. You
Yeah.
put a you in there sometimes. I literally teach my students this
Yeah.
all the time. Stop.
That was a lot of Johns.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes, that's a lot. And a ransom note is usually quick and to the point, like, bam, this is what we want. This is what you
Right.
gotta do. Bye. Like, you are,
There was a lot of fluff.
yeah, just like, there are a lot of big, you're not the only fat cat around. Like, what does that even mean?
Who says that? Also, we know Jon has money. We know that the Ramseys have money. First of all, they have a second home.
Mhm.
They have a private
They sure
jet.
do.
So they have money, but like, what does Mr. Ramsey do?
He had a company. what was it? I wrote it in here further down, but he owns a company, which is why he ended up in Boulder
Okay.
because they're originally from the South. They're originally from Atlanta. So he has a computer company. Correct. I may be wrong. I'll double check that when I scroll down. But a computer company that he's essentially the CEO of. So it has been growing.
Ah.
Yeah. He was in like the Navy or some type of military prior to that. But he does own his own company and it is very fruitful.
So in the middle of the night, this group came into their homes, allegedly,
Yes.
and took Jon Benét
Yes.
and left a note at the top of the stairwell.
Yes. The back stairs because they had multiple. The house was huge.
Huge.
Like
Okay.
John and Patsy's room had its own floor. Like the house had 4 floors. And their 4th floor, I believe, was theirs. And the whole entire floor was like their bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah, it was huge. Mm-hmm.
That must be nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't ever know that life, but that's fine. Good for them.
Not with this salary.
Good for them.
I mean, I got 1 floor, but everything's on the floor. My kitchen, my bedroom, my children's room,
Yeah.
the bathrooms. Just 1 floor.
Here you go.
Mm-hmm. This is what we do. Now, something strange about this note is that the money they requested happened to be the exact number of John's Christmas bonus. Despite what the note said, Patsy called 911 at around 5:52 a.m. And I'm going to play that call for you now.
Police.
What's going on?
15th Street.
What's going on there, ma'am?
We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please.
Explain to me what's going on, okay?
There's a note left and our daughter's gone.
A note was left and your daughter is
Yes.
gone? How old is your daughter?
6 years old. She's blonde. 6 years old.
How long ago was this?
I don't know. I just found the note. And my daughter's gone.
Does it say who took her?
What?
Does it say who took her?
I don't know. There's a ransom note here.
It's a ransom note?
It says SBTC. Victory. Please.
Okay, what's your name? Are you
Patsy Ramsey, I'm the mother. Oh my God. Please.
I'm sending an officer over, okay?
Please.
Do you know how long she's been gone?
No, I don't. Please, we just got out and she's right here. Oh my God, please.
Okay,
Please, there's somebody.
I am, honey.
Please.
Take a deep breath in
Please,
here, okay?
hurry.
Patsy.
The body of Jon Benét Ramsey, strangled and beaten, is found in the basement.
None of it makes sense.
What else don't we know?
Will whoever killed Jon Benét Ramsey get away with murder?
So, wow. Y'all know I'm really bad about reading these 911 calls.
Yeah, I was going to say something about it because last time you was like, oh my gosh. But this one doesn't really lead to much. Like I'm not like throwing a curveball in there. Like this is what it is.
She wasn't crying.
She was very frantic.
I mean, she was very frantic. She was out of breath. And I think like the note says your daughter's alive. So I think as a mother, you're clinging to that.
Yeah, but also,
you know,
my concern is that the note specifically said, you call anybody, you do anything,
she dies.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you immediately doing that. Like, I don't know if I would be that brave. I don't know if I would be that brave to do that. I mean, granted, this is 1996. I don't know how far in advance technology is, if they could have figured out a way if she was contacting police. But at the end of the day, you have my child.
Right.
You have my child.
And me and my husband need to sit down and figure out a plan.
Yeah. That part. Patsy also called friends and family to notify them about Jon Benét so they can assist in searching for her. Officer Rick French arrived at the home at around 5:55 a.m. and does a search of the home. According to one source, he paused by the door that Jon Benét was later found behind, but didn't open it. There were no signs of forced entry into the home. According to one source, police did not properly secure the scene. Remember, this is the day after Christmas. So the more experienced police officers were at home, which meant that the more novice police officers were put on duty to deal with this kidnapping. Okay, so we can only,
Right. They wanted that overtime.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Only Jon Benét's room was taped off, which meant that friends and family were able to roam around the remainder of the house to potentially compromise any crucial evidence that could aid in finding Jon Benét. Apparently, they didn't even search the entire home. Police also shared the evidence that they found with Jon and Patsy, and they didn't conduct informal interviews with them until later on in the day.
Like, how new are these police officers?
Brand new babies.
I mean, like fresh out of the academy.
But even if I was a brand new baby, like granted, but this is also 1996. Like I watch a lot of crime shows.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of police shows. Like I would know, like tape off this whole joint. Let
Mm-hmm.
me know what happened. You know what I mean? Like, and then also if you're
Separate the family.
yeah, and also if you're searching around this house, why are you not going in every door? Like, why would you stop at that door and not look behind it? Like,
yeah.
that.
I mean, we get it's a big home, but still.
Yeah, you gotta dot your I's and cross your T's, man.
Mm-hmm.
Their phone was tapped since the ransom note did say that they would be calling between 8 and 10. As the deadline came and went, Jon was getting increasingly more worried, so at around 1 p.m., Detective Linda Arndit asked Jon and Fleet White, a family friend, to do a top-to-bottom search of the house to see if anything was misplaced or missing. Now, my question is, why would you send them?
Yeah, like they're already emotional and their family, and they're going to compromise evidence. Why are you not doing it?
Yeah, and nothing against Linda. I mean, Linda, I don't know you, girl. I don't know what's going on, but I get that they're most familiar with the home, but also you don't know their involvement. You don't know.
You don't. Well, because you didn't separate them. You haven't even interviewed them. You haven't even talked to them privately.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when she says top to bottom search, she is not exaggerating. According to one source, the Ramsey home was 7,000 square feet. The 4-story home had 5 bathrooms, a number of staircases, and a very large basement. Jon goes down to search the basement first, and I just want to create this picture for you because, like I stated before, the basement, just like the rest of the home, was huge. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're probably going to see like what I'm talking about. And for those of you listening, the basement was broken off into a number of different smaller rooms, one of which being a room that was used as like a wine cellar / storage. I think it was like under construction because the picture I saw, it didn't look like a wine cellar. You know, the wine cellars had like little racks and stuff.
Yeah.
That wasn't in there. So I feel like it was under construction.
Okay.
This room had no windows and only had one door to go in and out of the room. Another large part of the basement was the storage / hobby room. This room had a previously broken window pane. Jon had never got around to fixing the window because he frequently locked himself out of the house, so he used that window to regain entry into the home.
Oh, okay. So we have an entry point.
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it was during this search that Jon located the deceased body of his daughter, Jon Benét Ramsey, covered in a white blanket in the wine cellar / storage room. There was duct tape on her mouth, and her hands and wrists were wrapped with a white cord. There was a handmade garrote found as well, made with the cord and part of a paintbrush. For those that don't know, a garrote is a weapon, usually a handheld ligature of chain, rope, scarf, wire, or fishing line that is used to strangle a person. So it's like that cord that has little endings and you like hold around someone's throat. But this was one that was made at home.
DIY.
Yes. A direct quote from Jon in a 2000 interview with Barbara Walters states the following. I knew instantly what I found. I found my daughter. She was lying on a white blanket. The blanket was wrapped around her. Her hands were tied above her head. She had tape over her mouth. I immediately knelt down over her, felt her cheek, took the tape off immediately off of her mouth. I tried to untie the cord that was wrapped around her arms, and I couldn't get the knot untied. Jon scooped up his daughter and brought her upstairs. This act, along with trying to remove the cords tied around her hands, destroyed any potential evidence by disturbing the crime scene. Jon Benét's body was removed from the home at around 10:45 p.m.
That's what I'm saying is like, I get that your instincts probably kicked in, but at the same time, any case you thought you were going to have in the court of law for anybody that could possibly be convicted, you just ruined it.
Yeah. I can't even blame him though, because I'm trying to put myself in that situation. I probably would have scooped her up too. I'm not even gonna front. Even with everything I know, like I would have known, like I probably would have been like, what do I would have been screaming, but screaming like someone like, but I feel like my instinct, I
Yeah.
would have also like scooped her up and like
Well, not necessarily, because hopefully you would have decent cops that wouldn't have sent you in to search for your daughter in the first
because
place.
I also wouldn't volunteer that because I know I'm a punk, and if I stumble upon something like that, like it's gonna ruin and shatter me forever. Like I'm never going
Yeah.
to be able to recover from something like that. So
Yeah, they should have never done that. That should not have been their job to go in and search the home. That is your job. It's literally why you get
yeah,
paid.
and
That's why you're here on overtime.
I'm not getting paid to search his home. You
No.
are. Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We called you.
Yeah, not the other way around.
Yeah. So, I mean, granted, like I said, his instincts did kick in,
Mhm.
and I get
Yeah.
it. But you just jeopardized a whole
Oh.
case.
Mhm. I mean, with everybody walking around the house too, as well, that was a lot.
Yeah.
At some point earlier in the day, Burke was taken to a friend's house so Jon and Patsy could completely focus on the tragedy that struck their home. Later in the day, the couple went back to go pick him up. According to a police interview done with Burke, he thought JonBenét was located, so he felt both excited and relieved when he initially got home. He goes on to say that everyone at the home looked sad, and then his father told him that JonBenét was in heaven.
Mm. So they, again, shoddy police work. You let them take their son to somebody else's house for hours. You don't think you need to talk to him? Like, he lives in the house too.
Like, did he
You
see
don't think you need to,
anything? Did he hear anything? Like,
Yeah.
it
Oh,
was
Lord.
just a lot. It was a lot of wrongdoings. A
Yeah.
lot of wrongdoings in this case. Before I continue, I would like to tell you a bit about JonBenét. JonBenét Patricia Ramsey, who is named after her father, Jon, and mother, Patricia, was born on August 6, 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia. A year after JonBenét was born, the family moved to Boulder, Colorado to expand Jon's software company. See, I knew it was something to do with computers, software.
There you go.
According to Jon, JonBenét was a daddy's girl and was proud to be named after him because Jon's full name was Jon Benét Ramsey, and now she's JonBenét.
Got it.
Jon and Patsy also had a son named Burke Ramsey that was born on January 27th, 1987. Jon had 3 other children from a previous marriage: John Andrew Ramsey, Elizabeth Ramsey, and Melinda Ramsey. Unfortunately, Elizabeth passed away in a tragic car accident in 1992.
Dang.
Yeah, and a lot of the things, like a lot of research, like misses this part. Like this is his first loss of a child.
Wow. I don't think I knew that.
I didn't know it either. I looked it up. I was like, dang, that's crazy.
It's really sad.
A direct quote from one source states the following: Ramsey described his daughter as an extrovert, very outgoing, full of energy and personality. JonBenét was smart and very outgoing. He worried that she would want to run off to Hollywood when she grew up because she loved to dance and perform and put on little shows for her family at the home. JonBenét was the epitome of a Southern belle and clearly loved being the center of attention. So much so that Patsy, a former beauty queen and Miss West Virginia of 1977, began putting her in beauty pageants. JonBenét was made for these pageants. With her blonde hair, blue eyes, and beautiful smile, she had won multiple pageant titles such as America's Royal Miss, Little Miss Charlevoix, and Little Miss Colorado by the time she was 6 years old.
And this is the JonBenét we all like remember.
Yes.
Is like the pageant girl.
Yes.
Because that's the photo that you see when you hear JonBenét Ramsey.
And I'll get into it later how that kind of like skewed a lot of things. But that'll be mentioned later on. Like they made it seem as though this was all she was. She was a beauty queen. But there are pictures of her not beauty queened up, and she looks like a completely different kid.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
completely
look at
different-
that show, Toddlers and Tiaras. Yeah.
But it's crazy because I was watching like a documentary on this case and the cops were like looking at pictures of her. I thought it was like a 12, 13-year-old girl, and it's just a 6-year-old child that looks to
Yeah.
be way older than what she is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now that we're up to speed on who JonBenét was, let's get back to the lesson. JonBenét's death was ruled as a homicide, and her cause of death was strangulation and an 8.5 long skull fracture. Her autopsy revealed no evidence of rape. However, sexual abuse was not ruled out due to blood being found in her underwear. That blood would later be tested, and results came back of an unidentified male that was not a match to the Ramseys. According to one source, she had multiple abrasions on her neck, cheek, legs, and other body parts. Pieces of pineapple were found undigested in her stomach. It's believed that she had eaten the pineapples a few hours before she died. According to her parents, they don't recall giving her any pineapples at any point throughout the day. And I'll circle around to this in part 2.
Okay.
The case quickly became a media sensation, with extensive coverage by television networks, newspapers, and magazines. The intense media scrutiny further complicated the investigation, leading to sensationalized reporting and misinformation. The public's fascination with the case was fueled by images of JonBenét participating in beauty pageants, as well as the gruesome details of her murder. According to a CNN special report about the case that I watched, Jon said Patsy and JonBenét did pageants for fun, and the media blew it completely out of proportion. A direct quote from Jon states the following: "We loved our children dearly, and yet people don't like rich people, so we kind of became that character for people to hate."
You know, yes, I agree. But again, the media is the media takes and does things that they want to do.
Mhm. Anything for a story.
Whether the general public would have taken it that way without the media's help, we don't know.
Yeah.
But you chose the images you chose for a reason, and you did it on purpose.
Mhm.
Like, they knew.
Yeah.
They knew.
And all the
And
titles say something about beauty queen, beauty pageant member, beauty
Yeah.
something. All of them.
Yeah. And then, yes, they're rich. And so obviously, middle class, look at us. We were just talking about their house. You know what I mean? When you can't relate, you want to knock it down. And middle class people can't relate to having a private jet and a second home.
Yeah.
They
I
can't.
don't even got a first home.
You
I got
know?
a first apartment.
But there you go. You got a roof. I can see where the media was very damning to this case.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, granted, there was really shoddy police work up front
Mhm.
in the beginning,
Mhm.
but the media didn't add to any of it.
They didn't help.
Positivity.
They didn't help.
No.
Mm-mm. I'm about to throw a lot of dates at you guys, so please bear with me. According to one source, on December 30th, investigators announced that DNA samples were taken from both Jon and Patsy. They also ruled out Melina and Jon Ramsey, JonBenét's half-siblings, due to them being out of town at the time of their half-sister's death. The next day, December 31st, 1996, JonBenét Ramsey was laid to rest in Marietta, Georgia, which is the Ramseys' hometown. She was buried next to her half-sister Elizabeth. According to one source, approximately 200 family and friends attended the funeral service.
Wow. But what about samples of DNA from the brother?
Yeah, that wasn't mentioned. The very next day, on January 1st, 1997, Jon and Patsy did a 45-minute interview with CNN from Atlanta. They stated that they were currently staying with family out there. Despite the police informing the community that they shouldn't be worried because there wasn't a murderer on the run, Patsy stated the following on national television: "There is a killer on the loose. If you are a resident of Boulder, I would tell my friends to keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there." Now, police were baffled that the Ramseys even agreed to do an interview, let alone that one that would be aired to the world to see, because they claimed to be too emotional to even speak to the police.
Oh, well, that's weird.
So you can't speak to the police. but you could
You
speak.
can't give them your statement to help find your daughter's killer, but you can go on TV
And tell everybody.
and do a cameo.
Yeah, that's suspicious to me. That's my opinion.
But I do disagree with the police saying that there's not a killer on the loose. Like, you don't have anybody in custody, so how do you know?
You don't know that. You don't know that.
And you're doing a really bad job at the policing.
Yeah,
So
just making that
you can't
assumption.
say that there's not a killer on the loose because you don't actually know.
You don't, but I also feel like they're taking that ransom note like a little, like it was targeted. So maybe it's not a killer. Like they were, I think they were more so focused on like it was a targeted killing and not just something random. You know what I mean? So I can see why they would say that, but you also can't definitively say that there
Right.
was not a killer on the loose because you don't know that.
Right.
You have no one in custody. You have no one who you think might have done it. So you guys are at square one. So
Right.
yeah.
And I mean, on their part, though, that is really weird that you didn't want to talk to police.
That's weird.
Because
But
I would
you
be
want
like,
to talk to the whole world.
exactly. Because I would give you, here's my date planner, here's my whatever you need.
Mm-hmm. You track my location in my app, look at, all that. So that was a little weird. By January 2nd, a team of 5 detectives from Boulder had flown to Atlanta to continue their investigation on Jon Benét's murder. On January 3rd, the Ramseys returned to Boulder and detectives revealed that the ransom note was written on a notepad from inside the home. The Ramseys kept 2 notepads by the phone, one being John's and the other one being Patsy's. It was determined that the note was written on paper that came from Patsy's notepad. Boulder police also traveled to Charlevoix, Michigan to search through the Ramseys' summer home. 5 days later, evidence concluded that a practice ransom note was written on another piece of paper. So, like, practicing.
A practice ransom note? What?
What?
Why? Can we now talk? Can y'all talk to us now that we have all? Can you? You gonna find some time to talk to us now?
It's a practice note. It was written from inside the home. So y'all was just like, let me think what I'm gonna write to these people. Nah, this is incorrect. Whatever you did with the piece of paper. All right, let's start again. Mr. Ramsey or John Ramsey, however it started. Then you just gonna go. I feel like a ransom note is something you come with.
Already made.
Yeah, like you snatch and then you leave.
Because the amount of words on the ransom note and left in the home, okay? Had they come in and got Jon Benét, then you stood at the telephone with the notepad and the pen and it was all right there waiting for you. And you just stood there for 5 minutes and you just and like you weren't worried that nobody was going to come downstairs, nobody was going to wake up.
Right. Like that's a little bold. That's a lot of bold.
Yeah.
That's really bold.
Yeah.
Just to assume like, yeah, I got time. I got time to date.
That was a long note.
Yes. 2.5 pages long.
Yeah, I know.
And then I had spelling errors on it and stuff like that. Like, so like, why did you make a draft? Because your other one was still trash.
It was still bad.
It was still not grammatically correct.
Yeah. Sketchy.
Yes. An expert prosecution task force was formed in early February with the hopes of catching Jon Benét's killer and bringing them to justice. People on this task force included forensic expert Henry Lee and DNA specialist Barry Scheck. Both of these individuals took part in O.J. Simpson's defense team.
And the glove didn't fit.
Will never fit.
What is it? If it don't fit, acquit?
Child. But then he came out with that book, If I Did Do It.
Right.
Sir, shut up.
We know. We already know.
We are all aware.
But money got you a really good lawyer, and that's exactly what this is about to do for the Ramseys.
Wasn't that a Kim Kardashian?
Yeah, it was her dad.
Yeah. Naturally, with no leads, police started to zero in on the family. On March 7th, a handwriting analysis was conducted to see if the handwriting on the ransom note was John or Patsy's. According to one source, detectives were able to determine that John definitely didn't write the ransom note, but there was a possibility that Patsy may have written it. Now, I saw an interview and she said that the scale was out of 5. So Jon, 5 being like,
Definitely wrote it.
yeah, and like, so hers was a 4.5. But I feel like the 5 was like, I definitely didn't write it. I don't remember how the order of it went, but hers was a 4.5 out of 5. So there was still some discrepancies that was like,
maybe not.
possibly.
But you know what you just said, and when that sentence right before that, you were like, after the police didn't get any leads, they then started focusing on the family.
That's immediate.
I'm not a police and I'm not a detective. However, you should always start from the inner circle and work your way out. Like that's literally how every case works.
Mm-hmm.
You start with the closest to the victim and then you go out of the circle.
I mean, I feel like they had some ideas that they thought it was the family, but they didn't officially like make moves on that. I mean, granted, their DNA was taken at the scene, they did that. But then I guess they were like, all right, like there's let's see what it's talking about, So
yeah.
I feel like in the beginning, there was still some like, this is a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all are being a little sketch.
A lot of sketch.
Uh-huh.
With that information in their back pocket, police traveled back to the Ramsey summer home in Michigan the next day in search of more of Patsy's handwriting samples to compare to the ransom note. So now they're kind of zeroing in on Patsy. Like, it's, On April 18th, 1997, Jon and Patsy were officially named as prime suspects in the death of their daughter. Boulder District Attorney Alex Hunter stated the following. Obviously, the focus is on these people. Jon and Patsy stood firm that they had absolutely nothing to do with their daughter's murder. On April 30th, both had their formal interviews. Jon's interview lasted for 2 hours, and Patsy's interview was 6.5 hours long.
Yeah, because women like to talk.
She was chatting. I saw clips. She was chatting. She was essentially just like, they were like, well, what about this? They were like, she was like, I don't know. You got the wrong. I had nothing to do with this. Like, she was just very adamant. They were interviewed again on June 24th, but this time by the district attorney investigators. Burke, Jon Benét's brother, was also interviewed for the first time on this day. Mind you, December.
She died in December.
It is June. And you just now talking to
You're just now talking to the brother?
Mind you.
Oh, wow.
He was out when y'all was doing all your stuff. They was like, oh, you gonna go to his friend's house. That's a little weird. It's a little weird.
It's weird. It's even more weird that you're just now talking to him in June.
And think of granted, we don't know what happened. We don't know if he did it. Granted, they've had all this time to coach him, hypothetically, coach him through if they ask him these questions about that night. They've had all this time to really mold him to make sure he has his story straight.
Wow.
It's weird. The grand jury began hearing evidence for the murder case in mid-September. Jon and Patsy were not asked to testify. Over a year later, on October 13th, the grand jury was disbanded and District Attorney Alex Hunter announced that no charges would be made.
Meaning they didn't have enough evidence.
Yep.
To really,
So even though Jon and Patsy were like prime suspects, like there was not enough information to definitely arrest them.
Yeah. He knew that a good defense lawyer would come in and ruin his case, and then what? Because you can't try somebody twice.
You can't, but we'll get into that later because this is crazy. I know this part. During this entire time, Patsy had been battling ovarian cancer. She was initially diagnosed in June of 1993, but received treatments and was in remission 6 months later. The cancer resurfaced in February 2002, and sadly, Patsy lost her battle to ovarian cancer on June 24, 2006. On July 21st, 2011, Jon Ramsey, at the age of 67, remarried to 53-year-old fashion designer Jan Russo. In an interview, Jon admitted to having a short affair with Beth Twitty. They met in December of 2006 at a fundraiser. Beth also happens to be the mom of Natalie Holloway.
What?
I know. So if you don't know, Natalie Holloway went missing when she was on a class trip in Aruba in 2005. Now, clearly, this all happened after Natalie went missing, but that's so crazy that he's connected to 2 kidnapping cases. 2 of them. He's connected.
Oh, wow. What?
Yes, girl. Yes, girl. Yes, girl.
Okay, you lost 2 daughters, you lost your wife, and now you connected to a woman who's lost her other daughter? I don't know. I just feel like this man might have some kind of obsession with death.
I don't know. But when I read this, I was like,
And look out, Rooster Rocks. Be careful.
not Rooster Rocks. Not Rooster Rocks. We also cover that case, so if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go ahead and listen to episode 24 after you're done listening to this one, clearly. Jon met Jan while attending a Denver wedding in 2009, and they became friends. The friendship clearly blossomed, and the two got married in Charlevoix, Michigan. Jon stated that Patsy would have given her blessing on his new marriage.
She would not, sir. If she was alive, she would not. But okay. You 60-something. You just can't be alone for the rest of your life?
Child.
You're 60-something years old. Well, okay. That's neither here nor there.
And he was significantly older than Patsy, too. Like,
Yeah, you do you, Jon. You do you.
Yeah. On January 27th, 2013, the Daily Camera newspaper reporter Charlie Brennan released a front page exclusive stating that the Jon Benét Ramsey grand jury had actually voted to indict both Patsy and Jon. So remember how I said before that he announced that there were no charges being met.
Right.
When all actuality, they all voted to indict them.
So why didn't they? Somebody got paid off.
So they voted to indict both Jon and Patsy on the charge of felony child abuse resulting in death. Remember that this was over 13 years ago at this point. Like at this point when this came out to light.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
He was also able to get some of the grand jurors to verify that they actually did vote to indict. Brennan needed to know for certain if this was in fact the truth, so he went down to court to get the grand jury's decision released. He ended up winning, and they unsealed the grand jury's records. The records show that the grand jury recommended to indict Jon and Patsy for child abuse resulting in death and accessory to first-degree murder. District Attorney Alex Hunter still has not made a statement as to why he chose not to indict Jon and Patsy.
You already know why. There's just too much. There's just too much money involved in this family, in this case. Like, and it's still sketchy. How did they know what your bonus was worth? I don't know.
This had to be someone that you knew, but the crazy thing is that this Christmas bonus, I was watching an interview. This Christmas bonus wasn't even for this year. It was a bonus given last year that happened to just go into effect around that time. So it wasn't actually a Christmas bonus because the bonus was given before. I don't know.
Right.
But these are words from Jon himself. So I'm just like, okay, so this has to be someone in your company. Someone that knows you, but also I don't know. It's just something is very unsettling about it.
It's weird. It's very weird.
Something is very unsettling about it. I'm not sure. Now, to those that know this case, you're probably like, Ashleigh, you are missing a lot of things. You are missing a lot of key details to this case. And again, this part was just to go through the timeline, just to go through the things, how they unfolded. And I wanted to separate the episodes, like I said earlier, because a separate episode with just the theories and most recent updates would make more sense than to just cram it all into this episode because we're already over an hour. I don't want y'all to hear. Y'all got things to do. Most of y'all are teachers. Y'all probably on your prep periods.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay. So next week, you'll be getting the second and final part of the Jon Benét Ramsey case.
Oh, I look forward to it. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Because there were a lot of theories.
I mean, I have learned a lot. Then you really, really stumped me on the Natalie Holloway thing. You really got me on that one.
I read that, I was like, okay, that's different.
Yeah.
Like,
How did you even meet her?
They met at a fundraiser, but like, because I don't know if
But she was from Alabama.
Well,
you're in
you from Alabama, and I
Colorado.
met you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now look at us here on episode 100 of a podcast together.
Yeah. That's true.
Mhm.
That is true.
Sure is.
I just feel like he lives in Colorado. This is before TikTok. This is before Instagram. This is before all of that stuff.
But he was in Georgia before then. So I'm wondering, Georgia,
That's
Alabama,
true.
they're close by. Maybe the fundraiser was in.
True. Maybe.
I don't know.
And she's like, hey, we have a lot in common.
And that's kind of how it sparked, because they were like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you had a daughter that was kidnapped. Oh my gosh, I had a daughter that was kidnapped. I mean, my daughter is presumed as dead. They couldn't find her. Like, my daughter was, you know what I mean? Like, they kind of like, I don't want to say it was a trauma bond, but it was just like, they knew
a connection they found.
Yes.
Yeah.
They knew what the other one was going through. So it was kind of like, yeah. Yeah.
That's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
That was the first part of our Jon Benét Ramsey case, episode 100. I got it together. I wasn't as tired as I was in the beginning, y'all. I got it together.
Yeah.
And I know that y'all saw me looking over here a lot. I have another computer. I need to be able to see Brooke, and I don't have, dual monitors up in here. So I got 2 laptops open. I was doing my best, but
yeah,
it's a work in progress.
We're trying to figure out how to read this and not be like looking away. So if any other podcasters out there, like, where do you put your script?
Like, where do you put it? Because I know you don't remember all that.
Because we want to know.
Mm-hmm. We are curious.
Yeah.
We are curious.
Very.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I look forward to part 2 now. Because I mean, I have some theories, like some conspiracies that I want to bring up. I don't know.
Yeah, I know one of them already.
Yeah.
California girl. I already know which one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
I already know.
Yeah.
I already know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but you also will get a happy hour in between this. We know you guys were like, oh, we want back-to-back episodes. It just so happens when episode 100 comes out, that Friday or Saturday, I believe, is a full moon. So you'll get this happy hour. Then the following Monday, you'll get part 2. So they will be back to back. They will be.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wait too long like you did with the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we learn from our mistakes.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
We do. Always growing.
Always growing. Always a learner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
Well,
as always, the bell don't dismiss you.
Oh, we do.
So we will see you on Saturday.
Bye.
Bye.